Hey guys, I'm in the middle of doing some plumbing, about to start wiring on a customer's car, and I thought I'd take a minute to go over a couple things that I use for heat protection. And when you plumb some of this stuff, you wind up having to get pretty close with CO2 lines and your push lock lines and whatnot. So I'll start with push lock. This is like a kit from Doug Cook over at Motion Raceworks. It's nice, comes with a bunch of good fittings. I've already got some of the fittings on the car. Anyway, this line's plastic. If you've got a turbo car, I'm sure are pretty familiar with this stuff. But when this stuff gets close to heat, it melts, and you'll be chasing your tail trying to figure out why the car lost boost or whatever it may be. So for all of this push lock hose, whenever I get anything close to a heat source or to abrasion or anything, I use this stuff. It's pretty cheap for how much you get and how well it works. But it's from Mr. Gasket. It comes in a couple different colors. I just use black. But anyway, part number 6326K. I'll put a link to all this stuff once I'm done here. But anyway, I use this stuff. It'll expand and fit over the top of the end of the fitting too. So with wastegates and whatnot, you get pretty close to heat. And I'm going to show you here in a second, the use that I use for this. But anyway, this stuff will save you a whole bunch of headache for like 20 bucks or however much it is on the car. If we go over and look. So we're pretty close to heat here. So this turbo kit, beautiful work, but there's no way around it. You can't avoid getting close to a heat source. So I use it right here. We're close to the crossover here. We're close to the gate here. All this stuff gets really hot. The last thing you want to deal with is trying to hunt down a problem, in between rounds or something. So I'm not done, obviously, but when you do this, this is this had to go through here. So this is it works really well for abrasion resistance too. I usually use some adhesive line heat shrink here to hold it in place. But again, I'm just in the middle of doing this. I just stopped for a couple minutes to eat lunch and to show you guys some of the stuff that I do. Maybe it'll help somebody out. And then also about boost control, this is another part of Doug Cook's Motion Raceworks kit. It comes with little mounts. This customer is going to wind up, having his fab guy weld these on. But anyway, they work good. They come with hose clamps. You can clamp them right on. It's kind of sweet to get it up out of the way if it's on a roll bar. So if you don't want to, this heat sleeving stuff, even this hose here, even this line, it's stainless steel braided, but that doesn't mean that it's good to get hot. So you could use that Mr. Gasket stuff in a lot of different places. The other stuff that I use is made by Earls, and I'll put a link up to that as well. But it's thermal sleeving. So if you look, like right here, this is a pretty tight setup in this car. It's got a dry sump as well. So it's got oil lines and fuel lines that kind of go everywhere. But we're real close right over here to a header. It's about an inch and a quarter, inch and a half from the header. So what I do is I use this stuff right here, and I cover up the hose to keep it away, from anything that's going to get really hot. So this is for a dry sump, but if you burn a hole through this, it's going to catch fire. So just take the quick precaution. Again, here's another spot. They make it in a whole bunch of different sizes. So this hose here is dash 16, but again, I use adhesive line heat shrink just to hold it in place. It keeps it looking nice. Doesn't allow it to slide around. They make it all the way up to dash 20. I've got some down there. Here, if you look down there, you'll see this hose here is really, really close, to the downpipe. So it's another good spot to use it there. I'll show you the hose on the bench over here. So this is the stuff for 20. It fits real nice and tight over 20. And then it'll also actually flare out. It stretches to go over top of the end of the fitting. So I think they rate this stuff at like 1200 degrees or something like that. As long as you're not touching exhaust, you'll be fine, you know, with 1200 degrees protection. And then here it is for dash 16. There it is stretched out over top of the fitting. So, you know, it slides pretty easy. And you can stretch it all the way out over top of the fitting like that if you need to, if the fitting's really, really close to like the turbo or something, which I'm gonna have to do this for the turbo drain. Then the last thing I want to show you is spark plug wires. So I gotta make plug wires for this. I use MSD wires, you know, the ones where you make your own custom length stuff. Anyway, you can route them away from headers for the most part, but 9 chances out of 10, you're gonna get close to something hot. So this is a product from DEI. You know, they make the turbo blankets and a whole bunch of other stuff. But this is a product from them. Part number is right there. That's for like their 25 foot. I buy it in bulk because I wind up doing a bunch of it. But anyway, this stuff is just like that, those heavy thick boots that they make for the spark plug ends. If you're using the boots, that's fine. Slip the boot over top of the end of the terminal for the spark plug wire, and then butt this stuff up against it, and they give you, you know, heat shrink labeled, you know, numbers, so you can decide, you know, so you can designate between one cylinder and the next. Like this car here, this is going to be extremely tight to get down here around everything. So up here we got coils, and then they come down, and now you got to get down into that spark plug. So I haven't 100% confirmed how I'm going to go about doing this one, but either way, you know, even the plug wire laying up against something, even something, you know, like this is, you know, it could rip through it. These things vibrate a lot. Race cars shake a lot. There's a good chance you're going to wind up tearing something up. So just take a minute and look over some of the options out there to save your race day in your race car or stopping a fire. All right, that's all I got. Thanks.